Hello everyone, this is Eli G. Brown / Eli G. Brony, and welcome to my first Kyuranger vinyl figure review. And I say first because, well, these are the first 9 that we got in the Uchu Sentai Kyuranger series. Uchu Sentai Kyuranger was the 41st season of the Super Sentai franchise. It came out in 2017. And that was when these vinyl figures were released in Japan. Now, lots of people, including myself, had hoped that Kyuranger was going to become the next season of Power Rangers after we got done with Ninja Steel and Super Ninja Steel. However, as of the time of the recording of this video, they had announced that the next season of Power Rangers is going to be called Beast Morphers, which adapts Go Busters, which came out in 2012. I was very disappointed when they didn't announce Kyuranger for an adaptation, and I was pretty angry that they had chosen to adapt Go Busters, especially considering how long it's been since they skipped that series over originally, and I personally think that Kyuranger should have been the next season to be adapted. Now, as far as I know, the reason why they have chosen to go back to Go Busters is because Hasbro has taken over for doing the toy lines, and they apparently thought that it would be a good idea to go back to adapt Go Busters. Though I personally think that the original plan was to adapt Kyuranger after Super Ninja Steel, based on quite a number of evidence that we had, such as this Ranger right here being shown in a picture that shows quite a number of different Rangers over the different past Power Ranger seasons. So I personally believe that that was a hint that Kyuranger was planned to be adapted immediately after Super Ninja Steel at some point. And, well, Hasbro had taken over after that picture was released. I don't know if they had pointed out that they had showed that, but for one reason or another, they've chosen to go for Go Busters, and I still cannot get over that. I know that there are some people that are looking forward to Beast Morphers, but I personally am not looking forward to it. I was looking forward to a Kyuranger adaptation, not a Go Busters adaptation. And I think that Kyuranger adaptation is what we should be getting. Hopefully, we will finally get a Kyuranger adaptation in 2021, or they may actually decide to cancel Beast Morphers, which I highly doubt, but do hope that they do. But, you know, I know that some people are looking forward to Beast Morphers, but as I said, I'm personally not looking forward to it. But enough about that. Let's now get on to the actual review, because you didn't click on this video to hear me rant about Beast Morphers, did you? No, you clicked on this video because you wanted me to talk about the Kyuranger vinyl figures, and that is what I am going to be doing. Now, did I already mention that it took me about a month to get all 9 of these figures? There was a bit of a setback, considering that there was one order that I made where the figures came out the wrong size. That was, in particular, these 2 characters right here, but I managed to get them in the right size. And so now I have all 9 of the original figures. Now, the extra Kyuranger figures are on the way during the recording of this video, and they may actually come in the next couple of days, because they are, well, they're actually due to have come today, April 2nd, but, you know, they have not arrived by this point, but maybe they will later in the week, because the estimated delivery date is between, well, somewhere around April 2nd and maybe the 19th. I'm not really sure. I can't really remember. But anyway, on to reviewing the figures. First, I am going to be summing up something that all of these figures have. And I will use Shishi Red, the Red Ranger, as a representation. Now, I am going to point out that if there are any points in this video where the camera is moving, that's not me doing it. It's some sort of focusing on the camera, where the camera likes to focus on the figures within the video. That happens sometimes when I am recording in HD. So just wanted to let you know that's the moving constantly, if any, are happening. I don't know because it's actually not happening during the recording here, but if it's just something that's not being shown, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that if you're watching this video, you would know if it is or isn't, but during the recording, it's not being shown, so I just do not know, but I've seen it happen before. Alright, now to sum up with the figures in general, I will go over what the figures all have in common, rather than just talking about the just talking about the features that they have each time. I will sum up with features that all of the figures have. On their arms right here, the left arms, there is this thing which is supposed to be the Q changer. I think that is what it is called, although it's not in the right color though. It's supposed to be kind of in a reddish and a bluish and all sorts of different colors, but for the figures, they are in the same color as the figures themselves. So this is something that is inaccurate to the show. But it's a very minor inaccurate detail. And another inaccurate detail is that I am told that there is supposed to be some silver lining going down here. Probably would take a lot of work to add that, so they just chose to leave it off. Now that is another minor little inaccuracy to the figure compared to what we actually see in the show. I just wanted to point that out there. And the figures all have this very nice silver detail going on the legs and the belt. And the upper torsos have this silver and black pattern where we have silver on the top and then black on the bottom, although on the back, on most of them, it's mostly silver. And then we have this star on their chest, and also this symbol, which is supposed to be a constellation of, well, the star constellation. Now, I don't know all of the star constellations for these figures, so excuse me that I don't bring that up. But anyway, this is supposed to be that lion constellation here on Shishi Red. Now, Shishi Red is a ranger whose powers are based on a lion. And as you can see on the top of his helmet, there's the lion symbol right there. It's pretty nice. And all of the figures all have this kind of dark blue color with this this glittery stuff, since this is a space-themed season, since the series translates to Space Squadron 9 Ranger. And, you know, it's a very fitting name considering that the series takes place in space, and there are 9 members of the main team. Alright, so, talked about all of the features that all of the figures have, in general, all of them, and also talked about the unique features of Shishi Red. Alright, now I'm going to be looking at these figures in numerical order. No, not the same order in which they appeared in the show, but in the numerical order that they have. You know, like on their Q globes. Okay. Now, some of these don't stand up all that well. I mean, they're standing up pretty well now, but they'll probably fall over at some points. But anyway, I think I may actually take Shishi Red out of the picture frame and move on to the next figure. This may be a very long video, but, you know, just try to bear with me. Now, this next one is Sasori Orange. He is the Orange Ranger on the team, and it's certainly interesting about the storyline that this guy was given in the series. Like, he debuted in the 3rd episode of the series, where he apparently was evil. Although we do find out that in episode 5, he was actually just being a spy. And he was not actually evil like he appeared to be at first. Now, his powers are based on a scorpion, and on the back, he has this scorpion tail. And I really like how the back texture here is very different from Shishi Red, because you can see the bumps on the back right there. Certainly a huge difference. And there's the stinger tail going all the way down on the back of his left leg. And he also has this in his demorphed form as well. I'm not quite sure if that will also be the case for when they eventually do adapt Kyuranger, whenever they decide to adapt it. Hopefully it's very soon, though probably not too soon. And his symbol is a scorpion constellation. Again, I don't know the names of these constellations. And then his visor shows a scorpion. Like, here's the scorpion face, the jaws, and there's the scorpion tail, although it kind of looks like a question mark, doesn't it? And these are supposed to be his claws, the claws that a scorpion, uses, like when they are defending themselves. So that is Sasori Orange, the Orange Ranger. Next, we are going to go to the Blue Ranger, who is called Okami Blue. Now, Okami Blue is one of the Rangers on the team that is, well, he's not human, and he doesn't take on the appearance of a human. He's a wolf-like alien whose planet was destroyed by Jerkmaster, the villain of the series, and he is the last surviving member of his kind. Which kind of reminds me of my Woodland Squadron Forester fanfiction, where there was this alien wolf from the moon whose homeworld was conquered. You may have to look at the Woodland Squadron Forester fanfiction to know how the story exactly goes. Although, I wrote that fanfiction 2 years before Kyuranger came out. And I'm kind of wondering if Toei actually read that fanfiction and thought, this guy has certainly given us an interesting idea about a wolf whose homeworld gets destroyed by the villains. We should actually put that into a series at some point. I'm actually kind of joking right there, but it is a possibility that they may have actually read the fanfiction. But anyway, something that makes Okami Blue unique from the rest of the Kyurangers is that since he is a wolf, he has a kind of a furry texture. Now, I'm not quite sure as to how well it's shown on the camera, and I do apologize if there are some blurred points. I can't help that. I've mentioned that hundreds of times throughout some of my videos. But if it's occurring now, I do apologize for that, but I can't help that right now, based on the camera that I have. And, he has the furry texture on his body. He also happens to have wolf claws at the bottom of his boots, as well as also on his hands. Although, you can only see the thumb and that, so you can't really see the claws on the rest of the Kyuranger figure. And if you notice how the setting has suddenly shifted, it was because the camera stopped recording unexpectedly during this session. Hopefully it doesn't do that again, but I just do not know. But I'm just going to try to continue on anyway, and hope that it doesn't. Now, he also has a very furry collar going around his neck, which does make pretty good sense, and his visor shows a wolf emblem. Although, since the visors are all blue, it's kind of hard to tell on that. But you see that yellow dot on the top of the visor? That's the eye of the wolf on the visor right there. Also, there are these two pointed things on the visor, but only one of... Well, the pointed things are obviously supposed to be the wolf ears, but the visor only covers one of those. So, that is Okami Blue. Next up, here is Tenten Gold. This is one of the figures that I've just recently received in the mail. And one of the figures that I've been having trouble getting in the right size. And, of course, as he is a Gold Ranger, well, although he's not really all that gold compared to previous Gold Rangers, although he is the very first Gold Ranger to be part of the core team. Now, the Gold Ranger right here, Tenten Gold, he is a kind of a robotic life form, and so he is one of the Kyurangers that has a unique looking suit that shows the robotic textures all over his body, which makes him look very different from a standard looking Kyuranger. So he has a slightly different shape than the rest of them. Now, I think that his emblem is supposed to be a scale of some sort, and I can really see the scales, when you are trying to weigh something. And I forgot to mention that the wolf emblem is on this guy too. Alright, so now the funny thing here is that on his visor, it's supposed to represent a scale, but for some reason, I know that the eyes are supposed to be right here, but sometimes it kind of looks like the scales on the visor are supposed to be his eyes. Does anyone else get that? Can't help but to see these as the eyes of the Kyuranger, even though this is supposed to be where the eyes are. I just want to know what other people think when they look at this figure right here. So that is Tenten Gold, the Gold Ranger. Now we are going over to Washi Black. This is Washi Black is a bull-like robot, and he also has some unique features. He is a lot bulkier than the rest of them, and he also has the robotic features and the feet. I suppose they're supposed to be like the hooves of a bull. Not quite sure. Now, I did read that some of the parts that were used to create the Washi Black costume also use parts from his demorphed form. Now, it's also quite questionable as to how his big bull head could fit into such a small visor. Although, speaking of the visor, I really like the appearance of that. And by the way, I do now notice the shaking that the camera does. I can't help that. It's just how it records. The visor shows these bull horns on his head, and it's actually even a little bit more thick on the back there. So it's not just all that flat. And he also has the bull emblem on the little circle right there. Now they use a slightly lighter black to make it more stand out from the rest of the black that's used on the torso. So I think that's pretty good. And the back also is a bit different from the rest of them. Alright, so that is Washi Black. Now we are going over to Hibetsukai Silver. Now this is another human character in the series. Hibetsukai Silver, I think that's how his name is supposed to be pronounced. It's really hard to tell because it is such a long name and very hard to memorize. But anyway, the Silver Ranger right here, his powers are based on a snake. Well, he's not actually a snake, but that's just the theme of his suit. And you can tell that from the snake scales over on the side of his suit right there. See that? If you can't see it, I apologize, but this is the best I can do. And he also has the snake emblem right there, and his visor also shows a snake. That is pretty cool. And, well, other than that, he's pretty much just the same standard Kyuranger like all of them, just the same all around, since this is one of the human members of the team. Next up is the first of the female members that we get. This is Chameleon Green. I really like how they actually brought in a female Green Ranger into the series. It's really nice. One of the reasons why I really want Kyuranger to be adapted. So, anyway, Chameleon Green is one of the female members, and as you can see, she has a skirt on, because, that is what female Rangers wear nowadays. And, well, of course, it wasn't the case. It isn't always the case, but in this case, they do have the skirts for the female Rangers. And her emblem shows a chameleon. And her face also looks like a chameleon as well, such as the chameleon eyes on the top and the tongue. Although the chameleon eyes on the top, now I don't know much about Star Wars, but from what I do know about it, the helmet kind of makes this Ranger look like Princess Leia. Is it? I think that's her name. Kind of makes her look like Princess Leia. So that is Chameleon Green. Next up, we are looking at the other female member of the Kyurangers. This is Washi Pink. This was actually the first of the figures that I had received. And, well, she's pretty much the same as Chameleon Green, just the same overall body. However, the difference is that she has wings on her back, because her powers are based on an eagle. Now, Washi Pink is another member of the team that's not a human character. She is actually a robot, though not an eagle-like robot, as you probably would expect, but a robot still. And she actually appeared in the first episode, but didn't become a ranger for the first time until the 4th episode, since it took about 5 episodes to get the entire team assembled. Well, for the first 9 anyway. Now, the back here shows the eagle wings, although because of the wings that are added onto the back here, you'll notice that they didn't put on any of the silver printing on the back like they've done with most of the others right here. You can see Chameleon Green has silver over on her back, but Washi Pink does not have that. They took the paint, well, they didn't put the paint on because it would get in the way of the wings. So I really like that. And her helmet shows the emblem of the, the visor shows an eagle. You can see the eagle face right there, and these are the wings. And then the eagle emblem, though you can't really see it very well, but you couldn't see the others very well. Or can you? I don't know. You tell me if you can see them very well. Alright, so that's the last of the female members of the team, both on the core team and in the team overall. We don't get any more female members after those two, but now we are going to look at the very last member of the core team, well, in numerical order anyway, but not the last to join the team. This is Kojiki Yellow, the Yellow Ranger of the team. Now, from watching people's reviews on the Kyuranger figures previously, I was kind of worried that he was going to have some trouble in standing up. But, you know, well, he does have a little bit of trouble now, but not as badly as I originally expected that he would. Now, Kojiki Yellow is based on a swordfish, though he's another human character in the series. Now, his visor, on the figure, it's not very sharp, though in the show it's actually a lot sharper, but it's likely that they made it a little less sharp, just having it be shortened to the way it is right here, because they don't want kids to poke their eyes out, right? That would be bad. So, yep, that is Kojiki Yellow, the Yellow Ranger of the team. Now, I think I've got, where are they? Now here are the Q tags that the Kyurangers have come with. Here is the one for Shishi Red. You can see the lion. Here is Successor Orange. There's the scorpion. Here is Okami Blue, the wolf. Tenten Gold, which shows the scale. Uchu Black, which shows the bull. Bechukai Silver, which shows the snake. Chameleon Green, which shows the chameleon. Washi Pink, which shows the eagle. And Kojiki Yellow, which shows the swordfish. Now, the thing about Kyuranger in the series is that, while I'm going to be standing the figures up as I am talking here, is that although that there are 9 members of the team, I'm actually not going to stand them up in the same arrangement that I did before. Just going to stand them up in some random arrangement. Is that although that there are 9 Rangers on the core team right here, they only have 5 members be sent out at a time. You know, so it pretty much still feels like it's the same old 5 Ranger team, even though there are 9 Rangers on the team, but we only have 5 that are sent out at a time. Now, some people have also said that because of the huge cast of characters that Kyuranger has, it probably would be so much for the budget when being adapted into Power Rangers. But I'm going to contradict there, because since they do have the whole thing where only 5 are allowed to go out at a time, that may fix the budget so that they're not paying so many actors at one time. But I bet that Red's actor is going to be paid the most, considering that he goes out the most. Camera stopped recording on its own again. But anyway, right before I close off this video, I'm going to be doing a little thing that I've been doing with mixing the cards, just sometimes for fun. And, you know, just selecting 5 of them to see what I'm going to get. Alright, so I'm mixing up the cards. Although some of these cards do have tags on them, so I would actually know which one is which. Okay. I do know that I got the Shishi red card down because, because I accidentally tore the hole off when I took the tag off, when I got Shishi red. Alright, let's see what we get. Gold. Oh, can't. Gold, blue, yellow, red, and pink. Alright, so I guess today's Kyuranger team is these guys. Alright, well, that was just something that I wanted to do just for fun before I closed off this video. So, thank you so much for watching, and I will look over the other Kyuranger vinyl figures when they show up. And I have also ordered the Kyuranger figures, so they may take a little longer to arrive, but when they do arrive, I will review them. But I'm not quite sure if I will be doing this like for every series. In fact, I don't plan on doing this for every series, by the way. Though I don't know if I will do this for any other series, just any that I feel like, as I said before. Or did I? I'm not quite sure. I think I did start recording, but then I had to start over for some reason. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching, and let's hope that this season gets adapted into Power Rangers pretty soon. So, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.